DJ writes, just wanted to ask, what Star Wars spin-off movies would you like to see other than Bounty Hunters?
Allow me to retort. I mean, there are tons. My number one pick is to go off the Knights of the Old Republic franchise, because there are, yes, and I know you guys talked about, they talked about Star Wars canon and expanded universe yesterday. We don't necessarily know what the plans are for the Old Republic, because there's supposedly a video game about Darth Revan that's coming out towards the end of next year that would, if they do indeed release that, all the games are canon, that would indeed put the Knights of the Old Republic back into canon, which would be incredible. I'd love to see the start of that, and if we get the Sith mythology in Episode 7, I think it sets it up and more curiosity to see that stuff, whether it be Darth Revan, Darth Bane. So that would be really cool. I am actually really interested to see the events of Obi-Wan Kenobi between Episode 4 and Episode 3 and Episode 4. Then in between time, just to him watching over Luke on Tatooine, doing a couple side missions. There were rumors that was going to happen, that there was going to be like a kind of a separate, almost like Bond-type trilogy where the events don't necessarily move together, but they're 3 separate Obi-Wan adventures. That could be really cool. And then I think that we're going to get a young Han Solo movie. And I've been predicting, I think Han Solo, I don't know, it's a guess, I think Han Solo is going to die in Episode 7. I think he's toast. And I think that probably after Episode 8, the year after, you're going to get a Solo spin-off movie.
Well, you stole my answer, because Knights of the Old Republic is my favorite Star Wars storyline outside of the original trilogy. And when they announced that it wasn't canon, I was like, oh,
But
really?
they didn't announce that. They never announced that.
Well, they announced what was canon, and it was only going to be Clone Wars and the future, Rebels now.
Correct, but also from video games that went up, because there's a novel that I talk about until I'm blue in the face, and that's Darth Plagueis, okay? Tarkin book, which is now canon, they mention elements of the Darth Plagueis book. So that essentially makes parts of that book canon. The same can be said for video games. That's why I mentioned this Darth Revan video game. If they bring that into play at the end of the year next year, like they say they're going to, that game is canon. That will reset the whole Knights of the Old Republic storyline as canon.
Well, hopefully, because I found the foundation that they laid in that video game very, very fascinating. All the paths of the Sith and the paths of the Jedi, and like how, all that stuff that you actually don't get to see in the movies.
That's why I think Episode 7, from what we're seeing, that we now know his name is Kylo Ren, I think you're going to get into so much more of the history of the Sith, what they've never explored in the movies yet. I think you're going to explore a lot more of that, and I think the Rule of Two is going to go out the window. I think you're going to see a Sith army. There's going to be a lot of interesting things that happen that will get people's curiosity going about, well, what's the history of that? And if they set up the history in Episode 7, then that sets up, it's like the ancient Roman times for Star Wars.
Yeah, the Sith backstory is the most fascinating thing in Knights of the Old Republic. Yeah. Like visiting the planet and checking out all that stuff.
Well, this is now going uber geeky here, but there's a scene again in this Tarkin novel to where they talk about the Jedi Temple. Underneath that, years beforehand, there was a Sith temple. Like that's where they built it on top of. That is now canon. So being able to say that Sith temple was there, that they used to, a bunch of them used to, they're setting it up through all these different comic books and video games. So I think we're going to get one eventually.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Hey everyone, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC movie talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.